Hello and welcome back to Primo Calcio. We are here today to discuss some recent news that happened in Serie A. Once again, I'm Michael here with Anthony. He is a little under the weather, so we're giving him a little bit of a off voice. How you doing, Anth?
Oh, so good. It's just the best.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling it. Oh
Good.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, been bedridden for 4 days.
well, that's nice, but
Yeah, but I've been
not ridden
hammering. I've
enough.
been no,
Not ridden
I've been
enough for Serie
hammering
A.
some X though. No, no, I've been watching a lot of. I'm watching a lot of old matches as a matter of fact, just to remind myself that I'm not crazy and that everyone does suck now.
And there are some really fun games to watch from the older
Yeah.
years. So I do that sometimes too. I'll put on some like old school Milan stuff just to kind of watch some of the legends that I grew up watching, and it is a fun time.
Yeah. You just need to just kind of reset your standard. Just go watch some like games from the early 2000s. Be like, oh yeah, those guys were way better.
It's fun.
Okay, I'm
90s
not
had
crazy.
had some good moments too,
Yeah,
2000s for sure. Yeah, no, there was a lot of good stuff.
yeah,
So let's get into the news of the past few days here. So the big happening was Milan has changed coach. We kind of knew it was coming. It's
yes.
Fonseca was kind of on the chopping block from very beginning of the season anyway, so that was something that was going to be going down if he didn't get great
Yeah, he was a
results.
dead man walking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was ever gonna work. I mean, he seems like a real nice guy, you know, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was never gonna
No,
work
he
out.
he
You
was
know?
he definitely won me over personality wise. The thing is, he was just
Yeah.
never the guy for the job. Like he was never the right call. That's all on Redbird. I think it's. I mean, we said it many times ago in our older cast. Like the guy's been working as a
Mhm.
coach for 20 years. You know exactly what you're gonna get. It wasn't like, oh man, we signed this top level coach. And if you look at the coaches that were out there this summer, it was like you had your pick of the litter. And several coaches were linked and wanted to come to Milan, but they went with Fonseca, who was totally out of left field. Nobody thought that was going to happen. My top three was Conte, Mota, and Conciecao. So we actually ended up with one of my top three. Two of those three are pretty intense managers, which is one of them is Conciecao. So that's kind of what happened. So they went back to one of their original links. They went with another Portuguese manager, but a much different profile. Coach
Mhm.
of Porto, won a lot of stuff with Porto in their domestic league. They always do well in Champions League, but they never win it. But it's probably hard to do it with Porto these days. But I like the move. I think it's good they did it at the beginning of January, give him some time, maybe get a signing or two in for him. But he's the right type of manager. He's like that Conte type manager who's gonna be pretty intense. He's not gonna take any crap from anybody. He's gonna bench a lot of like the prima donna players if he doesn't like what he's seeing from them. I like that. So I'm not sure. I mean, if you've done any research on Conte Sal, but if you have, what's your take on this move?
Well, here's what I think is what's gonna happen. I think what was happening was when Fonseca came in, and why a lot of those prima donna players bailed on Fonseca, and Fonseca had to bench him to get him to respond. And you remember that like water cooling break issue with the Teo and Leao were like standing on the other side of the field like a couple bitch boys doing that whole thing. Remember that?
Oh yeah, no,
That
there
kind
was
of
there was
stuff
a
happened
couple
because
incidents. Yep.
Fonseca would be constantly undermined by Ibrahimovic and staff. Like they knew he wasn't. They never took that guy seriously. I think Conceição's a different beast. Um, I think it's going to be there's going to be they're going to come to a crossroads if he's successful. The management's going to see if they want his personality profile around for too long because he could be a really really good coach for a long time, but he's gonna demand a lot
Yeah,
from
it's.
the
I
management.
think that's why they didn't choose him at the start, but I think they kind of felt that the wheels were falling off as they now Fonseca wasn't a yes man. I thought they were going to sign a yes man, and I probably called him that in the past because I didn't really know Fonseca as well enough besides his performance at Roma and what he's done in other leagues, but I never knew him as a person. He actually impressed me as a person. He was a lot more hardcore. I liked a lot of stuff that he said, and honestly, he did the best he could. It's not his fault that he
Yeah.
walked into this absolute mess, this circus of a management. So honestly, hats off to the guy. I have a lot of respect for him. I hope he does well going forward. He was just never the guy for Milan. Now Conciecao is getting pretty hardcore, and you're right. I don't think they wanted that type of personality at Milan, which is why they didn't choose Conte. That was the obvious choice, the choice that was there for a while until Napoli finally swooped in like later on. But I mean, it was always linked. Milan, maybe some rumors back to Juve, but that was a huge link. But they even spoke about why they didn't go with Conte. I think Ibrahimovic said so. So it's all about his personality.
Yeah.
But now you went with Conciecao, who has a very similar personality. He's incredibly
Yes.
hardcore, doesn't put up with any crap. I liked one of his first interviews. He's like, "Yes, I have a 39 degree Celsius fever. I don't care. I'm here. I'm gonna work. Anybody who doesn't feel like they're gonna work is gonna go home." So he's gonna be intense from day one. I love it. I think it's great. We'll see if the management gives him enough support, enough financial support in the transfer window. And as you said, at the end of the season, do they really want to work with him long term? Because then they're going to make that call. Because right now he's on about, I think, $1 million for half the season, but then the salary jumps up to 3.5 if they keep him from the years beyond. So we'll see what they want to do with him. I don't know if they're going to keep him long term or not. I think he's going to be a good option. I just don't know two things: one, how it's going to translate to Serie A, and two, how the management is going to deal with him. Is he going to be as hardcore with the management as he is with the players? I don't know. I
I
don't know.
think it's his translating to Syria. I think his coaching style is going to be excellent in Syria. I think
Yeah, I think so.
he's going to be just fine. And so he's got a very talented team. Milan have world class players on it. You have Magnan,
Yeah.
Theo, and Leao. You have at least three world class players.
Yeah, and you got
You also
Reinders and
have
Gabia
very
who are
very good
very, very solid
players.
players. And Fofana.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have a defensive leader in Gabia. You have Reinders, who's been playing out of his mind, and Pulisic. You have excellent talent.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
You have
definitely like most of the starting lineup is great. You have, about 6 or 7 players who can hang. For sure.
yes. So the problem they've had is that they've been unmotivated and have lacked intensity. His presence alone as a coach solves that problem. If he can't solve that problem, the only one who could have would have been Conte, and then you guys just really screwed the pooch. But I think this is if he's poor man's Conte, he's a very good version of poor man's Conte.
Yeah. No,
Because
he's
he's Conte
he's
without the years of proof and accolades, and then therefore the higher price tag and bigger ego.
right.
So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, his
you
Italian is
I think
great
you got
too.
the
I
right guy.
mean, yeah, I heard him
Yeah.
speak. He used to play in Italy when he was younger. So he's played in
Yeah,
Italy. He speaks like purely like very, very
Interista.
fluid, which is nice. So like he's not gonna have any problems communicating, which is nice. And I'm pretty sure he speaks English as well. So there you go. So he should not have any issues with communication. I'm very curious to see how the team sets up. I would love to see him change tactically. He has played typically either 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, but he did say in an interview he doesn't really care about the formation. He's willing to do anything. He even mentioned a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, which I think would be our best formation. I'm hoping he lines up that way. But the cool thing is he kind of said what a lot of great coaches say. They go, the formation doesn't really matter, which is great. It really is about like the rules you give to your players, what you want them to do, how they respond, and the intensity they bring to the pitch. So that's way more important than formation. Formation's great, but I mean, if you have smart players, they're gonna be able to cover up gaps. So I like
And
that.
most importantly, he's a counter-attacking coach.
Definitely. Yeah,
That
yeah,
Milan team is terrifying on a counterattack, dude. Leao is gonna go
yeah.
nuts with this guy.
Leao, Pulisic, even
If Leao,
Morata. Morata's fast too.
yeah, if Leao pulls his tampon out and actually decides to play, he's gonna be a absolutely truly world-class player.
Yeah, I wonder. It's gonna go two ways. I mean, one of two ways. If Conciecao can motivate him and Leao can actually like step up and be the player that he has the potential to be, he's
Mhm.
gonna go to a new level. Now, if he can't, then he's probably gonna get benched. I think he's
Oh,
gonna
learn a
either
lot
have a
about Leao.
problem with him or he's gonna either do great. I don't think it's gonna be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Basically, he's either gonna be
So
sold or he's gonna be kept and be a world class player.
I mean, he should be kept. I mean, you've had him. He's
Well,
been
we'll see how
good.
the next 6 months go. Like
He
that's what I
thinks
think.
he's better than he is. He's got to prove it now. So
Yeah, no, we'll see how the next 6 months go. I think it's so overall for me. That's big news. I think he's gonna do well overall. It might take him a little bit to get started. I'm curious to see how the next several games go. First game is going to be against his son at Juve, which is going to be Francisco
mhm.
Conciecao. So that'll be a kind of cool little subplot. We will review that game in our next cast here. We do the overall Serie A review plus the
Yeah, we'll probably
little
do a
forecast there.
Monday one on that. Our usual Monday. We just missed it this week because of
Yeah,
my
we'll
illness.
we'll probably record it and post it pretty soon here. But yeah, that's all. I think it's a good move. One more thing I do want to say before I kind of um, end here is I think that how the Milan management sacked Fonseca was terrible. They've always done
Oh yeah,
things in a bad way. They did it with Maldini. They made him. They sacked him like a dog, no warning, nothing. They didn't support him the year prior. That was awful. They bring in Ibrahimovic, who's been a clown, honestly, and then they let Fonseca go to a post-match press conference before they fire the guy. Like, and honestly, good on Fonseca for being an absolute class act the entire time. Like
yeah.
the guy really was just he was just left up to the wolves. He's been a really good dude and actually impressed me, as I was saying. The management is a total clown show, so I don't know. I hope Conciecao can have some say in it because I don't know if the management has their way, I don't even think Conciecao can save it. But we'll
Well,
see.
they got to get behind their coach. They have to pick players that he's actually going to want and be able to use. They just Fonseca was just thrown on an island, and I think you said it before it started. He was a dead man walking, so we all knew that was going to happen. But for all the talk about Ibrahimovic being a lion, he really he must be the cowardly lion because he didn't have the balls to go out there and do the job.
He
It's
never
pretty
does.
it's
He'd
pretty
rather
sad.
just post on social
Yeah,
media a picture of him doing karate instead. That's been a really
yeah.
big thing in the Milan
He's a
community.
joke.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
never
he's
seen
just
a
a
guy
joke.
lose so much respect so fast. But
Yeah,
it's like when Cardinale brings in a guy who thinks he can do the job that Maldini did, which one guy is very highly
yeah.
respected and he gives his all for Milan, and the other guy just gives his all for himself. It's a big difference. So I don't really mean to go off on a rant on Ibra, but to player I highly respected, but as a director, not at all. So
Yeah, it's just a different kind of player.
yeah, it's a different type of person. You know what I mean? It's a different type of person,
Yeah.
and that's when you see now we're not talking about the player anymore. It's all management and directorship. But yeah, that's it. I think it's a good change. I like the guy a lot. I'm very curious to see how it goes. That's it for me.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well,
That's a
thank you
wrap,
guys
baby.
for watching, and we will be back shortly with a week in review. We were a little late on it, but we'll post it shortly. Take care, everyone, and Forza Calcio.